beautiful day. Before I begin with my remarks, I first would just like to echo what Sergeant Snug said. Welcome to all our visitors, to the family members, welcome home, to our leadership in the wing, from the wing and from the group. Thank you for supporting us to allow us to do this day, because we wouldn't be able to do it without your support. So thank you, Colonel Moore, Colonel Everhart. Really appreciate it. I don't think it gets any better than this. It really doesn't. So embrace this, as we talked about this morning when we watched the 75th video, and we talked about just the mission that this crew went up on. For my members that are currently serving in the 4th, just like I said, your career is encapsulated by small events, and you have to kind of recognize when you're in the presence of a special event that you may not get to experience again. Today is one of those days, so for my lieutenants, remember this, because one day you will be lieutenant colonels and colonels, and it will be your opportunity to give back. Okay, Chaplain Presto, thank you for the great prayer. What a way to open up the day, and really appreciate it. Also, I'd be remiss if I didn't say this to my fellow squadron commanders. 7th, Colonel Carney, 8th, Steve. I know it takes 2 4s to make an 8. If I can double my 4s, hey, that's a good day for me. Thank you guys for supporting us as well. Okay, we're here today to honor the airmen of the 4th Troop Carrier Squadron, specifically the airmen who served flying the India-Burma hump. Today, we have the honor to memorialize Captain Levinsky and his intrepid crew by dedicating these bricks in our memorial grove in honor of their remarkable achievements, bravery, and their ultimate sacrifice, as well as all the men and women who served in the 4th Troop Carrier Squadron, the 4th Military Airlift Squadron, and the 4th Airlift Squadron. As you know, the 4th Squadron has a rich history as the oldest continuous active airlift squadron in the United States Air Force. Our roots are formed in 1935 with the genesis of the Army Air Corps. The crew we're honoring today served in the 4th Troop Carrier Squadron in 1944. At that time in our nation, we were at war, much like we are today. We were also striving to preserve a balance of humanity throughout the world. In 1944, we were conducting missions in the C-47A, similar to the missions that are being conducted today in the C-17, combat, airlift, doing airdrop operations in a foreign country. However, life was much different in 1944 than it is today. Minimum wage was 40 cents per hour. The price of gasoline was 21 cents a gallon. You could buy a new car for $1,250, and you could park that car in a new home with a garage for about $10,000. Bread was 9 cents a loaf, and the first class stamp was 3 cents. And the average salary, as my execs have pulled out, was right at $2,900 a month for the average American. Life was a little bit different then. In 1944, our nation's future existence was not assured, as Allied armies in the Pacific Theater of Operation had run into fierce resistance while fighting in the Imphal Valley and Mainakina regions of Burma, which today is known as Myanmar. Allied aircraft in the Southeast Asia region were stretched thin, flying the hump over the highest mountain range in the world, which was a dangerous 530-mile long passage over the Himalaya mountains. They were doing this to provide airlift for the island hopping campaign in the Pacific, to provide additional support to troops engaged in close combat operations. The 4th Airlift Squadron, or the 4th Troop Carrier Squadron, our unit, was specifically ordered to transfer from Italy to India. And they were transferred to begin flying what we now know as the hump. Those who served flying the hump participated in the first ever sustained, long-range, 24-hour around-the-clock, all-weather aerial supply route in our history. It lasted approximately 3.5 years, from April 1942 until November 1945. This mission was necessary for our war efforts in national security. In early 1942, the Imperial Japanese Armed Forces captured Burma and cut off all supply routes to China except by air. The United States had made a pledge that it would continue supporting China's ongoing war efforts against the Imperial Japanese Army. So we had made a promise as the United States that we were going to support this. And that was a precursor for the hump. As I said, the hump was necessary by all accounts, and it was successful as well. By July of 1945, nearly 71,000 tons of supplies, primarily aviation fuel, bombs, and ammunition, and other miscellaneous supplies, to include, and I know my guys like this, 390 mules were delivered. So, and they were safely delivered. Unfortunately, during the entire operation, 590 aircraft were down. 81 aircraft were listed as missing by the end of the China, Burma, India theater of operations. Let me say that again. 590 airplanes were lost. I mean, when you really think about that and you let that absorb, that tells you the significance of this event. For our nation to send our best, young and brightest, we lost 590 airplanes and aircrew members, more important. Our Captain Oblinsky crew was one of those 81 aircraft identified as missing. C-47A, number 42-23510, was listed as missing 67 years ago today, the 23rd of May, 1944. Today, the flight suits that we're wearing, which are affectionately referred to as bags, it's an inside joke, are changed just a little bit. However, the patch that the 4th is wearing today on our right shoulder is the same patch that we wore on the 23rd of May, 1944, as a 4th Troop Carrier Squadron. So as you look behind me, the C-47, replete with the 4th Troop Carrier Squadron emblem, is identical to the aircraft the crew was flying that day. You know, President Dwight Eisenhower has often been credited with saying that the C-47 was among the 4 most important things that won World War II. We remember the intrepid heroism and courage that the C-47 aircrews displayed at all times. They flew unarmed and unafraid. I would also agree with President Eisenhower, but I would take it one step further. The men who served had enormous pride for their C-47s. However, it was the men that they served with in the 4th Troop Carrier Squadron that created the lasting bonds that enabled our best and brightest to be willing to make the ultimate sacrifice for our nation. It is the airlift squadron that forms the genesis of these bonds. I'm sure if Captain Alfonso L. Coleman, the 4th Troop Carrier Squadron commander on the 23rd of May, 1944, he was here today, I'm sure he would echo those remarks as well. It is the squadron, the men and women who serve, is what give us the spirit to go out and do the impossible, to make them possible. According to the 12th Air Force, between the 64th Operations Group and the 62nd Operations Group, with the 4th Troop Carrier Squadron representing the 62nd, 11 aircraft were lost. One One of those 11 planes lost in this operation was Captain Obinsky's crew. 67 years ago today, Captain Obinsky and his crew, they flew in austere weather from the Jane, India, but failed to reach Kenta, which was their airdrop location. For 57 years, the crew and their plane were missing, but they were not forgotten. Starting in 2001, evidence surfaced regarding the location of the lost crew from dog tags, watches, and other objects. A missionary in the jungles of Myanmar was a missing link. In 2003, a joint POW MIA accounting command team confirmed the wreckage from the nose art of the 4th Troop Carrier Squadron, tail number 42-23510, the Obinsky crew. As a tribute to these men who made the ultimate sacrifice, we not only dedicate these memorial bricks today, but we carry their legacy with us every time we fly. That legacy is a legacy of professionalism, discipline, and compliance, and pride in the fighting force. In recognition of the airmen who flew the hump, Air Mobility Command recently dedicated C-17, tail number 96062, as a tribute to the crews who flew the hump. Inside the aircraft carries artwork and a plaque explaining the distinction. Today, that C-17 aircraft currently is at Altus Air Force Base and is used as a training aircraft so that every single aircrew member who flies C-17 has an opportunity to fly in 90062. Furthermore, on 11 September 1944, General Order number 166 was a citation of unit was signed. And yes, I did say 11 September 1944. The 4th Troop Carrier Squadron was cited for outstanding performance of duty and action against the enemy. Senior Master Sergeant Schnug will now share with you the outstanding unit citation presented to the 4th Troop Carrier Squadron on that day. Sergeant Schnug.
I think there's supposed to be a good omen about birds squawking. I'm not sure, but this is the actual